We've been taught to believe that saying yes to everything makes us kind, agreeable, and generous, but the truth is every time you say yes when your body, your soul, and your instincts whisper no, you betray yourself. That is not kindness, it's self-abandonment. True kindness honors boundaries. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and if your yes always comes at the expense of your peace, it's not kindness, it's people-pleasing. And people-pleasing is a silent prison that locks you away from your true power. One of the most dangerous habits we develop under the disguise of kindness is the inability to say no. Somewhere along the way, many of us were taught that being agreeable, always available, and endlessly flexible makes us good people. We've been conditioned to believe that saying yes keeps us lovable, safe, and connected. But here is the truth. Every time you say yes when your heart is begging you to say no, you are abandoning yourself. It feels harmless at first. Someone asks for your help and you agree, even though you're exhausted. A friend wants your time and you offer it, even though your schedule is bursting. A colleague pushes their responsibilities onto you and you accept, even though it's unfair. Each of these yeses seems small, even noble, but over time they accumulate. They build a pattern of self-sacrifice that drains your energy, silences your truth, and erodes your sense of worth. The problem is not the word yes, it's the motive behind it. If your yes comes from fear, fear of disappointing someone, fear of conflict, fear of being seen as selfish, then it isn't kindness, it's compliance. It's a way of keeping peace on the outside while starting a war on the inside. And no matter how many yeses you give, people will not love you more. They will simply expect you more. True kindness begins with honesty. Saying no is not rejection, it's clarity. Saying no is not cruelty, it's courage. In fact, one of the kindest things you can do for others is to teach them where your boundaries are so they know how to respect you. A boundary is not a wall, it's a guideline that protects the flow of healthy love, time, and energy. Think of it this way. When you always say yes, you rob others of the chance to respect your limits. You train them to believe that your time, energy, and presence have no value. But when you say no with confidence and grace, you teach them that your yes is meaningful, rare, and rooted in truth. So ask yourself this: how many of your yeses are genuine, and how many are betrayals of your own soul? Because the truth is, every fake yes is a quiet self-betrayal. And repeated self-betrayal doesn't look like kindness. It looks like exhaustion, resentment, and a life lived under pressure. Real kindness does not come from depleting yourself for others. Real kindness comes from wholeness. When you protect your energy, honor your truth, and offer your yes only when your heart is in full agreement, that is when kindness becomes powerful instead of powerless. Many of us confuse kindness with rescuing. We see someone struggling, maybe a loved one, a friend, or even a coworker, and our instinct is to swoop in, fix the problem, and shield them from consequences. On the surface, this feels like compassion, but beneath it, covering for others often robs them of the very growth they need, while draining you of the strength you should be protecting. Think about it. Every time you clean up someone else's mess, you absorb the weight of their choices. You spend your energy, your time, and often your emotional stability trying to patch holes that aren't yours to fix. And at first you tell yourself, I'm just being kind. But soon you realize the pattern. The more you cover for them, the less they learn. The more you shield them, the more reckless they become. The more you say, I'll handle it, the more invisible and exhausted you feel. This type of kindness is not kindness at all. It's enablement. It keeps people stuck where they are. It protects them from discomfort, but it also prevents them from responsibility, accountability, and transformation. When you carry someone else's weight for too long, you don't just lose your strength, you strip them of the muscle they need to build their own. Here's the hard truth. People grow through struggle. They mature when they face the reality of their actions. When you constantly rescue, you interrupt their lessons. It's like pulling a butterfly out of its cocoon because you don't want it to struggle. You think you're helping, but in truth, you weaken its wings, leaving it unable to fly. Real kindness doesn't mean rescuing. It means respecting people enough to let them experience their own consequences. It means saying, I love you, but this is your responsibility. It means holding space for their discomfort instead of erasing it for them. It means trusting that they are strong enough to face what life has placed before them. Now, I know what you may be thinking, but if I don't help, they'll suffer. They'll be upset. They'll think I don't care. But listen closely. Protecting yourself and respecting their journey is not a lack of love. It's a deeper form of it. Because true love and true kindness refuse to feed cycles of weakness. So ask yourself, how many times have you mistaken enabling for kindness? How often have you kept someone comfortable while secretly making yourself powerless? Covering for others at your own expense does not make you a savior. It makes you a shadow of yourself. Step back. Let others face what belongs to them. That is not cruelty. It is the highest respect for both them and you. One of the most common mistakes people make in the name of kindness is avoiding conflict. You tell yourself, I won't say anything, I'll just let it go. It's not worth the fight. You stay silent, thinking you're keeping the peace. But what you're really doing is burying your truth. And buried truth always finds a way back, usually in the form of resentment, bitterness, and distance. Conflict avoidance may feel safe in the moment, but it slowly destroys relationships. Why? Because when you hide your feelings to keep others comfortable, you create a gap between what you feel and what you express. And in that gap, authenticity dies. People may like the agreeable version of you, but they don't actually know you. They know the mask you wear to keep harmony. The real danger is this: unspoken words don't disappear. They grow inside you. Every I'm fine when you're not fine, every forced smile when you're hurt, every silence when you wanted to speak, it all piles up. And one day it erupts in anger or quiet withdrawal. The relationship you were trying to protect begins to crumble, not because of too much honesty, but because of too much silence. Now, let me be clear. Conflict is not cruelty. Speaking your truth doesn't mean being harsh, aggressive, or unkind. Real courage is telling the truth with love. It's looking someone in the eye and saying, I value this relationship too much to let dishonesty poison it. Conflict, when approached with respect, is not a threat to peace. It's the path to real peace. Avoiding conflict doesn't prevent pain. It's simply lie delays it. You might dodge an argument today, but tomorrow you'll feel the heaviness of being unheard. You might avoid hurting someone's feelings in the moment, but later they'll feel betrayed when... So ask yourself, do you want fake peace or do you want real connection? Because real connection requires discomfort. It requires truth. It requires the willingness to step into conflict, not as an enemy, but as a healer. True kindness is not silence. True kindness is courage. It's speaking what's hard to say with grace and compassion, even when your voice shakes. Because in the end, avoiding conflict doesn't make you kind. It makes you powerless. And stepping into conflict with love doesn't make you unkind. It makes you real. For many of us, kindness looks like carrying the weight of other people's feelings. When someone is sad, we become sad. When someone is angry, we absorb their fire. When someone is anxious, we let their storm invade our peace. We mistake this emotional absorption for empathy, but in reality, it's emotional over-responsibility. And while it feels like kindness, it quietly steals your power and leaves you drained. There's a difference between empathy and absorption. Empathy says, I see your pain, I feel with you, and I will stand beside you. Absorption says, I will take your pain as mine, I will carry your anger, I will drown in your sadness so you don't have to. But here's the truth. When you try to carry someone else's emotions, you rob them of the dignity of processing their own feelings. You step into their storm and abandon your own ground. Over time, this habit becomes exhausting. You begin to feel heavy, not because of your life, but because you've turned yourself into a container for everyone else's struggles. You become the emotional sponge of your family, your friends, your workplace. And while people may appreciate it at first, they eventually come to expect it. Your kindness becomes their crutch, and your soul becomes their dumping ground. But here's what we must understand. Holding space for someone is not the same as holding the entire burden. True kindness is presence, not possession. It's saying, I am here with you, but I am not here instead of you. It's offering compassion without surrendering your inner peace. Because the moment you believe it's your responsibility to manage another person's emotions, you step out of your power and into a role that was never yours to play. When you constantly absorb others' emotions, you lose your sense of self. You can't tell where their pain ends and where your peace begins. And eventually you feel empty, anxious, and resentful. Not because you are unkind, but because you've mistaken self-sacrifice for compassion. Think of it this way. If a friend is drowning, you don't jump into the water and drown with them. You reach out, extend a hand, throw them a rope, or call for help. You stay grounded so you can help them rise. That is what true kindness looks like. Not drowning alongside them, but staying steady enough to help them find their way back to shore. So the next time you feel tempted to carry someone else's emotions as your own, remind yourself, their feelings are not your responsibility. Your kindness is not measured by how much pain you absorb. It is measured by how much strength you bring into the room. True kindness doesn't mean becoming a sponge for suffering. It means being a light in the middle of it. We're often told that generosity is the purest form of kindness. And yes, giving is beautiful, but giving without ever allowing yourself to receive is not generosity, it's self-erasure. It's a dangerous cycle that drains you, makes you invisible, and teaches others to take you for granted. Many people believe their worth is tied to how much they can give away. They become the friend who always pays, the family member who always sacrifices, the partner who always adjusts. And at first it feels noble. You're the reliable one, the strong one, the giver. But over time you begin to notice something. While you pour into others, nobody seems to pour into you. While you show up for everyone, few show up for you. And slowly your generosity transforms into resentment. Here's the truth. Kindness without balance becomes a trap. If you only give and never receive, you send an unspoken message that your needs don't matter, that your energy is infinite, that your soul doesn't require care. People will not question it. They will simply take what you offer. Not because they are cruel, but because you've trained them to believe that you exist only to give. But true kindness is reciprocal. It's a cycle, not a one-way street. Think of nature. Rivers give water, but they are replenished by the rain. Trees give oxygen, but they receive carbon dioxide in return. Even the sun, which gives light to the earth, receives energy from the universe itself. Nothing in creation survives by only giving. It survives because there is a balance of flow. When you deny yourself the right to receive, you not only harm yourself, but you also weaken your giving. An empty cup cannot pour, a tired soul cannot heal, a drained heart cannot love deeply. Real kindness is not about how much you can deplete yourself. It's about how much you can sustain yourself so your giving remains genuine and strong. And here I, as something even deeper, refusing to receive is not humility. It's pride in disguise. It's saying, I will help you, but I don't need help. It denies others the opportunity to give back, to support you, to express their own kindness. When you always play the giver, you rob others of the joy of being generous with you. So ask yourself, do you allow others to pour into you, or do you reject every gesture with, I'm fine, I don't need anything? Do you believe that kindness only flows outward, or do you understand that it must also flow inward? Because real kindness doesn't just bless others, it honors you too. Giving without receiving is not noble, it is destructive. But when you learn to both give and receive with grace, you step into a kindness that is powerful, sustainable, and deeply human. One of the greatest misunderstandings about kindness is the belief that in order to be kind, you must make yourself small. You must stay quiet. You must let others shine while you disappear in the background. You must never inconvenience anyone, never express your needs, never take up space. This is not kindness. This is self-erasure. And self-erasure is one of the most dangerous habits you can form because it convinces you that invisibility is love. When you confuse kindness with erasing yourself, you begin to measure your worth by how little you demand. You say things like, it's okay, I don't mind, when you actually do mind. You silence your ideas in meetings so no one feels overshadowed. You hold back your laughter, your passion, your creativity, because you don't want to take up too much space. You think you're being kind, but in reality, you're sending the world a message. I don't matter. My presence is optional. My voice is unnecessary. And here's the truth. If you keep erasing yourself long enough, people will believe you. They will treat you as though you don't matter because you've taught them that you don't. You think you're making life easier for others, but what you're really doing is making life heavier for yourself, silently carrying the weight of unspoken need. But let's be clear, real kindness does not require you to disappear. Real kindness requires you to show up fully, your voice, your boundaries, your passions, your light, because only when you are whole can you truly give something meaningful to others. Self-erasure might make others comfortable, but it will never make you powerful. Think about it this way. If you dim your light to make others shine brighter, the world doesn't become brighter, it becomes darker. Your absence doesn't create space for others. It creates emptiness where your unique contribution should be. True kindness is not shrinking so others can expand. True kindness is shining so others can remember they are allowed to shine too. There is nothing selfish about existing fully. There is nothing arrogant about having needs, desires, and boundaries. The lie is that kindness means silence, invisibility, and self-denial. The truth is that kindness means honoring yourself and others. It means recognizing that your presence matters, your words matter, and your existence has value. So ask yourself, how many times have you erased yourself in the name of kindness? How many times have you swallowed your truth to protect someone else's comfort? That is not kindness. That is fear. And fear disguised as kindness always leads to powerlessness. Real kindness is strength. Real kindness is showing up unapologetically with love in your voice and truth in your heart. When you stop erasing yourself, your kindness becomes authentic. And that kind of kindness doesn't make you powerless. It makes you unforgettable. You bump into someone accidentally and you whisper, I'm sorry. You take too long to reply to a message and your first instinct is, I'm sorry. You ask a simple question in a meeting and you feel the need to begin with, sorry, I just wanted to ask. This reflex may feel like politeness, but at its core, it's not kindness, it's self-diminishment. It's a habit that trains your mind and the minds of others to believe that your very presence is an inconvenience. When you apologize for existing, you are unconsciously telling the world, I don't deserve to take up space. I don't deserve to have needs. I don't deserve to make mistakes, to ask for clarity, or to be imperfect. And over time, those unnecessary apologies chip away at your self-worth. You start to believe your own words, that your existence itself is something that requires permission. Here's the truth. Apologizing should be reserved for when you have truly harmed someone, when you've crossed a line, or when you need to take responsibility for your actions. That's integrity. That's accountability. But apologizing for simply existing is not integrity. It's insecurity. And let's be honest, constant apologies don't actually build stronger relationships. They create imbalance. People start to see you as less confident, less sure of yourself, less powerful. Your voice, your opinions, and your presence become background noise because you've trained others to expect you to shrink. Imagine the difference between these two voices in a room. One that begins every thought with, I'm sorry, but maybe this doesn't make sense. and one that says, here's my perspective. The words may be similar, but the energy is completely different. One carries weakness, the other carries strength. And strength, when paired with respect, is still kindness. So the next time you catch yourself about to apologize unnecessarily, pause and ask, am I truly at fault here, or am I shrinking to make others comfortable? If you haven't done anything wrong, replace I'm sorry with gratitude or clarity. Instead of sorry for asking, try thank you for explaining. Instead of sorry I'm late, say thank you for your patience. This small shan. FD transforms self-erasure into self-respect. Because kindness was never meant to mean apology for being alive. You have the right to take up space, you have the right to ask questions, you have the right to exist in fullness without attaching guilt to your breath. Stop apologizing for existing. Start standing in the truth that your presence is not a burden, it is a gift. And when you embody that truth, your kindness will not come from fear, but from confidence. And that kind of kindness doesn't weaken you, it empowers you. The most dangerous myth about kindness is the belief that in order to be kind, you must give up your power. Many people think if I set boundaries, I'll seem harsh. If I speak my truth, I'll be unkind. If I protect my energy, I'll appear selfish. But this is a lie that robs you of your strength and disguises fear as virtue. Kindness has never been about weakness. Real kindness is rooted in power, the power to act with intention, the power to speak truth with love, the power to protect yourself while still honoring others. When kindness is confused with powerlessness, it becomes a shadow of itself. It is hollow. It leaves you exhausted, resentful, and invisible. Think about it. When someone truly embodies kindness, they do not apologize for existing. They do not erase themselves, and they do not surrender their boundaries. They act from a place of strength. They give when they have the capacity to give. They help without draining themselves. They speak the truth without fear of conflict. That is the essence of kindness. The misconception that power and kindness are opposites is what keeps so many people trapped in cycles of self-abandonment. You tell yourself, if I stand up for myself, I am being unkind, or if I say no, I am selfish. But real kindness requires discernment, courage, and self-respect. Without power, your kindness is performative. With power, your kindness becomes transformative. V, you must understand this. Boundaries are not unkind. Saying no is not cruelty. Speaking your truth is not aggression. Protecting your energy is not selfishness. These acts of strength allow you to give generously, love fully, and act with intention. Power is the soil from which real kindness grows. Without it, every act of kindness becomes a drain, a mask, and a pathway to powerlessness. So refuse the lie that being kind requires surrendering your power. Stand firm in your boundaries, speak your truth with courage, and act with intention. Let your kindness flow from strength, not fear. When you do, you will see a transformation. People will respect your generosity, your relationships will deepen, and your influence will expand. Kindness is not powerless. It is your greatest power when rooted in truth, boundaries, and self-respect. And once you understand that, you no longer give at your own expense. You give as the powerful, whole, and radiant person you are meant to be. Kindness is one of the most misunderstood qualities in the world. Many of us have been taught that being kind means giving endlessly, silencing ourselves, absorbing everyone else's pain, and apologizing for existing. But these habits do not make you kind, they make you powerless. True kindness is not self-erasure. True kindness is not fear disguised as generosity. True kindness is courage wrapped in love, strength expressed with compassion, and presence that honors both yourself and others. It is giving from fullness, not emptiness. It is speaking truth with grace, not staying silent out of fear. When you stop mistaking weakness for kindness, when you set boundaries, protect your energy, and honor your truth, something incredible happens. Your kindness becomes transformative. You inspire others, you teach respect, and you reclaim the power that was always meant to be yours.